ever play past the junior varsity level of basketball?
Well, I got asked to leave the varsity team. So, yes, I did play varsity basketball, but I got asked to leave.
And why did you get asked to leave?
Creative differences with the coach.
And what kind of creative differences?
He thought that I was probably a little bit better at football, and they were like, we don't want to risk you getting hurt and taking your time, so we need to get you out to run track and play football. So they said it's probably the best thing for you.
DC ain't even make JV team. I love it.
I 100% did, and I was asked to leave. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that know why and that can stay. It's not something we need to dig up.
It was fighting was involved, if I'm not mistaken, correct? You beat somebody. Basically, you bullied somebody.
I was a lover, not a fighter, and I have the daughter to prove it, you know. So
Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
What is going on, everybody? Thank you guys for being here. Welcome back to Big B Daily. This is your man, Big B. We are live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. What is going on, everybody? Good Tuesday today. Good Tuesday. Got some stuff to go over. A lot to cover today. UCONN wins the title. Just dominant all the way through. I mean, if we're being honest, they've been dominant the last 2 years. Just absolutely dominant. Best team in college basketball. Best coach in college basketball. Put it on display again last night in a game that wasn't really that close. It wasn't really that close. Then, does Zach Edey, does he have a future? I mean, we saw him playing last night. There's a couple of comments on TikTok already talking about they forced him to go left, and they did, but the man had 37 points. So you can say, well, they made him go left, 37 points. So, you know, Purdue just had nothing else. But Zach Edey was the best player on the court. Does he have a future in the NBA? I don't know. And then Wemby, his rookie year, man, it's coming to a close this weekend. I think Sunday is the last game. Was it a success for San Antonio or not? They're not going to win very many games this year, but was it a success? I appreciate it. So we'll talk about that and more. Let's dive into this. As always, man, like I said, we're live on TikTok. Everybody continue to tap the screen on TikTok. We need at least 5,000 likes and 30 new follows. So if you're in here and you're not following, please give us a follow. We appreciate that. Thank you. Also, do yourself a favor and myself a favor. Click on the link in the bio. Come on over to YouTube. Subscribe to Big B Daily or Big B Sports Talk over on YouTube. We appreciate it. Lastly, if you appreciate the show and what we are doing and you want to support the show several different ways. On YouTube, you know you have the super chat. You can control the conversation over there. But always, if you send one in, it immediately gets talked about, immediately gets put to the front of the line based on what the topic is. So you can kind of control the show. Same thing over on TikTok. Gifts, tips, all that stuff is in the bio. So go ahead and click that. Anything you want to do, like I said, you can kind of control the show. Let's get into this, people. So, boom, boom, boom. UCONN wins the national title. Look, I don't really think that the game was that close. If we're being honest, I know it was close early, and that's kind of what UCONN does, but, I mean, the game ended up being not a blowout, but it wasn't close. UCONN was just better than Purdue. Look, I think Zach Edey was the best player on the floor, but then the next 7 guys belong to UCONN. And you're not going to win too many games like that. When it's the next 7 belong to the other team and they're really good, you're not winning. You're just not going to win. And they didn't win, man. So that's kind of where we're at. Where we're at with this thing is UCONN is just so much better. They're just so much better than everybody else. That's kind of the deal. That is kind of the deal. And last night was no different. Their system, they run sets, They put pressure on the defense. They make you work, defensively, but just constant movement, constant cutting, ball movement. They got a big guy that can play. He's not a bum. So and he can handle the ball out front. He's a traditional big man in today's NBA. Where Zach Edey is a throwback. And we'll get into Zach Edey a little bit later, but somebody on TikTok sounds like Iowa versus South Carolina. Yeah. Caitlin Clark was the best player, but then the next 6 players all belong to South Carolina. And you're just not going to win like that, man. Especially if you don't shoot lights out. Like Caitlin Clark started off the game red hot. South Carolina made a defensive adjustment, put a bigger, more athletic person on her. She struggled the rest of the game. 5 for 20. Can't win like that, especially when you don't have the other horses to help. Same thing with Purdue. But that's been Purdue's MO all year. They got better from last year to this year. They got better, but, I don't know. Like I said, they got better, but they still can't defend. Their wings, like Lawyer for Purdue. He couldn't even play in that game yesterday. He had no business. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't guard anybody, which he's never been able to guard anybody. And then they didn't let him get free. He's not a good ball handler. So they didn't let him get free. So he got no open looks and he can't create. He had no business on the court. And they took him off the court because he couldn't play. So that's the difference, man. That is the difference. UConn is just better. Now, Pat Cockrell's over here. Pat, look, man, you're wrong. I love you. But Pat says this year's UConn team is arguably the best men's college team of all time. Come on, man. Come on. Look, we cannot always be a prisoner of the moment. Yes, they have a good team. I agree. They have a really good, not a good team. They have a great team. But you're trying to tell me that this UConn team is arguably the best of all time? Stop it. Just stop it. You think back, first of all, let's just go way back. This team isn't beating any of the UCLA teams that has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on them. They're not beating any of those teams because it wasn't just Kareem. So they're not beating any of those guys. That's number one. Okay? But if you want to make it even more recent, do you think that this team is beating that Anthony Davis Kentucky team? No, they're not. No. So you're asking, okay, my bad, Pat. You are asking whether they were the best. The answer is no. I think they're outstanding. I think they're a great team. They're not one of the best. They're not one of the best. And it's okay. That's okay not to be the best. College basketball is different than what it was, let's call it 6-7 years ago. It's just different. Not as many people say. The reason that UConn is good, they got a bunch of juniors and seniors on their team. They got a really good freshman, but they play a bunch of juniors and seniors. That's why they're good. They're older. A lot of these other teams are young. Now, Purdue's not so young, but their best player, who happened to be the best player in the country, he's older. That's how you're winning. You're not winning with a bunch of freshmen. Ask John Calipari, the new head coach at the University of Arkansas. Or is he? I mean, how long does it take a deal to get done? How long does it take a deal to get done? They've been talking about this for it's over 24 hours now, and there's still no official announcement that he has the job. Wouldn't it be funny if all of a sudden they come out and Arkansas says, no, we've backed out. The negotiations went south. We've backed out. Calipari will not be the head coach. He couldn't even go back to Kentucky. They'd be like, nope, he's out. He's out. He's out. He took another job. He just couldn't get the negotiations done. We don't have to pay you your buyout. We'll tie that buyout up in court for the next decade. Woo, woo. Get a deal done before you accept, before it leaks out, man. So, my man says Calipari's going to be Arkansas's Jimbo Fisher. Maybe. I think he'll be okay there. Arkansas is not Kentucky, but they got more money than Kentucky. So we'll see what happens. So, he can't do that. That was part of the deal. To let him know before he talks. How do you know? We don't know that. We don't know. I'm just saying, would it be funny? It would be funny. That's all. But back to UConn. Can they win it again next year? I mean, can they get it again next year? I mean, I don't know. They replaced 2 starters last year. They're going to have to replace 3 this year. I mean, Castle is not an NBA guy. I mean, he's a freshman. He was McDonald's All-American. He's a starter. He's a good player, but he doesn't shoot the ball well enough to go to the NBA right now. I mean, he might. I'm not saying he won't, but he doesn't shoot the ball well enough to be an NBA 3. He'll end up being in the G League for a minimum a year if he decides to go to the NBA. So I think he stays in college. Why go? Just develop in college. It's not like you don't make money. You do. And you can make a lot of it. So how did UConn take the madness out of it? I mean, it's not their fault. They were better than everybody. Did we not enjoy the rest of the tournament? I think we enjoyed it, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we did. I mean, we may have known who won, who was going to win, but that it didn't ruin it for me. Did it ruin it for you guys? I mean, am I wrong here? I don't want to step on any toes. So I'm just saying it didn't take the madness out of it. I mean, but Oakland beat Kentucky the first night of the tournament. It didn't destroy anything for me. I knew UConn was better than everybody, but I liked the tournament. I liked it. And you see, I'm a Louisville fan. My team wasn't even in it. So I loved it. I loved the tournament. It didn't ruin it for me. Like I said, the March Madness to me is a very close second when we're talking about postseasons. It's a very close second behind the NFL as far as postseasons are concerned. So I like March Madness, man. I thought it was a great tournament too, Eric. I really did. I thought it was a great tournament. So, did we know who the winner was? More than likely, yeah, we did. But that's okay. So, they were just better than everybody. So, and this is a good question or a good statement, my man Pat. Can we all collectively admit now that UConn is a blue blood? Yeah. I was saying it even before the tournament started. I said it after last year. 5 titles in 25 years, now 6? Yeah. And you know what? I'm a firm believer that if you bring in a blue blood, you can kick somebody out. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with saying, you know what? Update your resume. You can't just be a blue blood and stay there forever, regardless of what you do. Can we kick Indiana out? Can we move Indiana out of blue blood status? I mean, what have they done? They've been living good off of NCAA titles, the last one in 1987. That was the last time that they won a title. They've been to 3 Final Fours since then and haven't really been that relevant or relevant at all in the grand scheme of college basketball since, 2000. So can we kick Indiana out of blue blood status and just move them out and put UConn in there? I mean, I know there's going to be some Indiana fans that get mad. There are going to be Indiana fans, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know ball, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is 1987? That's what we're doing? So, come on now. Somebody on TikTok, what do you mean it's because Kentucky's buying play? What does Kentucky have to do with Indiana? Can you please explain that to me? Explain to me what Kentucky has, why any of that has anything to do with this. But I think UConn being a blue blood has to be in the conversation now. They have to be. They have to be. Blue blood doesn't mean that, well, it's just an old program. It's been around forever. You know, hell, Indiana won 3 titles in the 50s. They won 5 overall. Well, I guess they won 2 in the 50s. And then Bob Knight won 3. 76, 81, and 87. So come on now. You know, come on now. You got to put UConn in that. Because let's just say from last year to the next decade, so basically 2023 to 2033, what if UConn wins 3 titles? I mean, and then they have 7. That's not good enough to be a blue blood at that point? Come on. They got to be. They got to be. So, now this is spicy, my man Pat Cockrell says over on YouTube. Indiana basketball equals Notre Dame football. I don't disagree. Or here's a better one. Nebraska. That's who I think it resembles even more. I think Indiana basketball equals Nebraska football. Is Indiana, at least Notre Dame has had good teams. Now, they haven't won a title, but they have had good teams. They've been relevant. They were in a national title game. What was it? It was a little while ago now. But they have had good teams. They're still in the conversation a little bit. Now, does the media push them there? Yeah. But at least they're in the conversation. Nebraska's not even in the conversation. Just like Indiana basketball. Nebraska's not in the conversation. They think they're still the 1990s Nebraska. That's what their fans believe. Somehow they've been lied to thinking that they're better than what they actually are. I remember distinctly, Tom Osborne got it going, obviously. 3 national titles in 4 years. He retires. Frank Solich didn't win national titles, but he went to one, and they were very good. Very good. Back when they played 11 games, he was averaging 9.5 wins a year. That wasn't good enough. So they get rid of him. Yeah, we Frank Solich, I mean, he's only winning 9.5 games. Let's just even say 9. 9 out of 11 games a year. That's not good enough. We got to get rid of him. And they haven't been the same since. They started to get it back a little bit when they hired Bo Pelini. But Bo Pelini was an asshole, and he rubbed people the wrong way, the wrong people the wrong way. No, did he? And boom, they fired him too, and he was successful. I'm like, what are you doing? Just unbelievable. And maybe Matt Rule can get it figured out. You know, maybe he can get it figured out. But apparently not, because even at Nebraska, I know we're off topic, but Nebraska, I mean, heck, the athletic director's leaving. He left. The president left. They're like, place, which we all know are the board of directors and the boosters. He goes, these people are nuts. I'm getting the hell out of here. Trev Alberts was he is not only a Nebraska Hall of Famer, he's a college football Hall of Famer. He's a legend at that school. He was the AD, and he said, screw it, I'm leaving. These people are nuts. They have no idea what to do. I'm not going to put my reputation and my name on this. I am out of here. Man. So, Bill Kernan, what are you talking about? Osborne stole a title from Paterno. He didn't steal anything. He was just fine. I mean, you're telling me that Nebraska wasn't good back in those days. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I have firsthand knowledge because I played against them. Those teams were outstanding. Outstanding. And by the way, we're talking about, but we're not giving anything to Joe Paterno. Okay? Y'all can come for me if you want to. That's fine. I am out on Joe Paterno. I'm not going to get into what he did because I'll get kicked off of platforms, but everybody's got Google, and you know what he allowed on his campus. Period. End of story. So we'll just let that go. We'll let it go. Nebraska joining the Big Ten was an absolute crazy move. They did it for money. They were mad that Texas was getting all the love, support, and most of the money in the Big 12, so they left. They got more money. Their football program has been a disaster since then. So, but yeah, UConn, blue blood in my eyes, and I'll argue anybody on that. I will argue with anybody on the validity of UConn being a blue blood. Unless we're just not talking about it. So, unless we're just not talking about it. It is what it is. It is what it is. So, Bill Kernan doesn't like what I have to say, so he's leaving. Okay. Goodbye. Sorry. I hope you're not defending Joe Paterno because I'm not hearing any of it. Not even a little bit of it. So, I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Let's move on, man. Let's move on. Again, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, live on TikTok, live on YouTube. TikTok, keep tapping that screen, man. We want to get as many people in here as possible. Got a long way to go to get to 5,000 likes. We appreciate it. Keep tapping the screen. So, keep tapping the screen. And if you're in here and you're not following, give us a follow. So, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. Now, somebody says UConn ain't a blue blood. So they got to win 7 titles to be considered a blue blood. I mean, and this is my man Star over here on TikTok. Star's mad because they've got as many titles as North Carolina in way less time. So you have to win 7 titles to be a blue blood. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. And you know it, too. And you know it. So you don't have to have no 7 titles to be a blue blood. Because if that's the case, North Carolina, Duke, not blue bloods. So they're not blue bloods. Indiana never was one. The only blue bloods are UCLA, which a lot of people would argue, is UCLA still that? And Kentucky. That's it. So that's it. So that's my thing. If you got to win 7 titles to be considered, then there's only ever been 2, and everybody knows that's not true. Stop being bitter. North Carolina lost to Alabama. They shouldn't have lost, period. End of story. So, and getting on here demanding that I answer you isn't the way to go either. So, the bottom line is UConn is a blue blood, period. End of story. You don't like that? Too bad, so sad. Let's move on to Zach Edey. Zach Edey, does he have an NBA future? I mean, can he play? I don't know. I think Zach Edey can play, but the way they play in the NBA, I mean, there's no room for him. There's no room for him. So it's like they want to open up the lane because they want to give all these guards space. But I'm a firm believer that if you have a big guy and he can score, and Zach Edey has proven that he can score, Why wouldn't you just use that guy? I mean, he's big, he's strong, but they just don't let you do that in the NBA. They don't allow your big man to be a big man anymore. Somebody's saying in the D League, I'm like, he's not going to the D League. First of all, it's the G League or whatever league it is. I don't know. He would just go overseas, but I'm like, a 7'4" guy that can rebound and can score, he can't play? I don't know. Like I said, I know that they don't use big men like that in the NBA, but does that mean that you shouldn't or you can't? I think it's insane. I think it's absolutely insane. You can't tell me that a Zach Edey, who I'm not saying he's the fastest guy, but he can get up and down the court. He can rebound. He can rim protect. You're telling me that that guy can't play in the NBA? You can't throw the ball down to him? No post moves. He had 37 points with no moves. Some people will get on here and just say anything. They will say anything. The man scored 37 points with no move. Jeez. A sky hook. That's all he's got. Kareem, that's all he had. He scored the most points in NBA history with one move. Lord, people will just say anything, man. It's TikTok is wild. I love it. But it's wild. A skyhook wouldn't work. A 7'4" guy, not going to work. What's this world coming to? What's this world coming to? I just don't get it. What is this world coming to? That a guy with that's 7'4", that knows that can handle the ball around the basket, somehow that's not going to work. Nope. He gets great position. He's strong as an ox. That would never work. Oh, man. I don't know. Like I said, they don't play that way in the NBA anymore, but I think they could if they wanted to. They've just adopted this European style of basketball. I think it's a mistake. I think that's why when it comes to NBA basketball or Olympic basketball, games are closer than what they have to be because Americans have big men and they don't use them as big men anymore. They have decided that, yeah, you know what? You're 6'10", 7 foot tall, but you know what? We want you more on the perimeter, just setting screens. We just want you. We don't want to throw the ball. I know you got a low post game. I know you can score in there whenever you want. We don't want that. We don't want that. We can't use a guy that can use either hand around the rim, that can score at will, get good position, draw fouls. Nope. That's not good basketball. Unbelievable. And people wonder why people get tired of watching the NBA. It's like they have, and it doesn't just start in the NBA. It starts when kids are younger. Hey, I know you're big, but don't play big. I know you're at 13 years old, you're 6'7". Don't play like you're 6'7". Because we all know at 13 years old, you're going to stop growing. You'll never be another inch taller than what you are at 13. So just no, don't play big. Unbelievable. So it's crazy. It's just crazy. I don't get it. I think Zach Edey's got a future if they allow him to play. Maybe they'll make some changes into the NBA on some rules. So I don't know. My man Sideshow 33 says he likes him and he's better than Greg Oden. Now, here's the thing about that. Well, Greg Oden was good before he got hurt. Everybody's going to say Greg Oden was a bust. And he was because he got hurt. He was a bust. But Greg Oden had no offensive game. He didn't have an offensive game. He was an outstanding rebounder, defender. He can score on putbacks. But you didn't just, we're going to Oden. No, that's not what his game was. He could have developed into that because he was young. You can throw the ball to Zach Edey. Oh, by the way, Zach Edey is 7'4". So 7'4". There's got to be a place for a guy like that for a minimum of a decade in the NBA. But it depends on how they use it. If they're going to make him be into a Brook Lopez and force him to start shooting three-pointers, then no, he's not going to play very long. He's not going to play. And it would be sad. It would be sad. Do I think he can develop a shot out to 10, 12 feet? He probably can do that. He probably needs to do that. But I don't know. I'm not saying he's Shaq. By all means, nobody has ever been Shaq. But Shaq found a way. Shaq didn't shoot the ball outside of 5 feet. And somehow he found a way. And the game was just fine with Shaq playing. Now, again, I'm not comparing him to Shaq. I'm just saying Shaq found a way. Edey could find a way too. So I just don't get it. Am I wrong? Now, I know my man Star on TikTok, he's the new wave of basketball. I mean, UConn's not a blue blood. Zach Edey scored 37 points, but he has no moves. I get that. But am I wrong in saying that you can use big men in today's NBA if they truly wanted to? Because I think they can. I think they can. We just have chosen not to do that. So Avila will have more successful pro career than Zach. I think he will just because of the way the rules are. I think he will because of the way the rules are. I think they got to change the rules. So, no, I wouldn't say Edey has trouble with double teams. I mean, his teammates have trouble. I think that's part of it. Maybe he didn't always trust his teammates because you give them the ball and they couldn't do a whole lot with it. That's part of it. I mean, we love Purdue, but you take Zach Edey off Purdue and just put a guy in there. If he ain't on Purdue don't make the Sweet 16. Not with the way with those wings and that point guard play. They don't even make the Sweet 16 without Edey. So I think there's a place for him. Hopefully he finds a place. So we'll see. And Cam, these scouts that are saying Edey isn't physical enough are stupid. He's absolutely physical enough. I mean, not physical enough for this NBA? I mean, what physicality goes on in the NBA today? I don't remember there being any physicality that goes on in the NBA today. Number one, is because they don't let you get physical. So I don't think there's any physicality that goes on. So I think he's absolutely is physical enough. I think he's absolutely physical enough. Will they give him the opportunity? We'll see. But yeah, I mean, there ain't no physicality that's going on in the NBA today. They don't let you play physical, but then the guys aren't physical. And that's the difference. That's the difference. I hope Edey gets an opportunity, though. I hope he gets an opportunity. It would be a shame that a guy with that much or that height and with his skill, I'm not saying he's super skilled, but skilled around the basket that if you give him the ball, he can score. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. We saw what they did. He sets high screens and then dives to the basket. He did that. And there's got to be a place for that guy for at least a decade in the NBA if they allow it. Hopefully that happens. Let's move on. Again, as always, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time. We are live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube. Just as a reminder, people, if you're on TikTok, please remember to give me a follow. First of all, keep tapping the screen. We don't have a lot of people in here today. We usually have way more people than this. So share the live if you don't mind. Share the live. Continue to tap the screen. We got to get to 5,000 likes. But like I said, as a reminder, by football season, Big B Daily will be over solely on YouTube. Now, We'll still be live on TikTok, but we won't be answering any questions or responding over there. So by football season, all the interaction will be on YouTube. So just use that as a reminder. So please make sure that you give us a follow, but more importantly, you click on the link and come subscribe to Big B Sports Talk over on YouTube. You'll be able to catch the live there. So I don't think TikTok's going away. I think all that talk about them banning TikTok, I don't think that's going to happen. But the YouTube live, just the YouTube scenario for you and for me is just better. It's just better. That's all. So we'll be moving everything, all interaction, I should say, over to YouTube. So we appreciate everybody being over there. So if somebody averaging 4.4 points is entering the draft, then Zach Edey has a spot somewhere. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Bronny is throwing his name out there to see what can happen. I don't think Bronny's going to stay in the draft. Maybe he will. I don't know. Who knows? He might. I don't think he will, but who the hell knows in this day and age? But you're right. You're exactly right. If somebody that's averaging 4.4 points per game can be in the draft, then the two-time consensus national player of the year has a spot in the NBA. I would hope. So, but we'll see. What do y'all think about Victor Wembanyama? I think Wemby's having a great season. It ends on Sunday. I think the San Antonio's got to start winning more games. I do know that. But for somebody to come over to a different country and come and have all these expectations on him, to have all those expectations land on him and to go out there and perform, I think that says something. So I like Wemby. I like his game. I think they just need more players. I don't know. I mean, y'all may crucify me for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think the system in San Antonio, they might need a new system. We love Greg Popovich, but I mean, how many successful coaches are 74 years old? I think they need new players. I think they might even need a new system. I love Pop. I do. But I think they might need a new system. I think they just might need a new system. So, like I said, I love Pop. I love what he does. There we go. My man, OWH. Exactly. Pop's time is needed in the office, not the court. Yeah. I like Wemby. I just think they might need a new system, man. Open it up. Exactly, Chuck Miller. There just comes a time when stuff just stops working, Or you get old enough, even though with all the accolades that Pop has, with everything that he's accomplished, some of these guys weren't even born when he started accomplishing some of these things. So the message could be like, hey, man, this old guy, I want something new. And maybe even though he could be right, they just still tune him out and don't listen. So I think there comes a point in time when that happens. So I don't know. I love Wemby's game. I think Wemby could put on 25 pounds of muscle. At least I think his frame would take that. I know his trainer came out and said something crazy at the beginning of the year saying, oh, he doesn't need to put on any weight. Yeah, he does. Stop it. I think he could put on 25 pounds of muscle, and be just fine and be even more effective. I mean, you all see him. He throws 25 pounds of muscle on. First of all, it'll be extremely noticeable because he's so skinny now. I think he puts on the weight, he might become unstoppable, which he's damn near unstoppable now. But then everything gets better. His handle gets better. His defense gets better. His rebounding gets better. All this stuff. Everything gets better. with that added muscle. You never heard of any basketball player that needed to add muscle, adding the muscle, and then, well, man, they got worse. Y'all remember the old myth? I remember the myth in high school. Man, if you lift weights, it'll ruin your shot. It'll mess up your shot. You won't be as flexible. That could have been the biggest bunch of garbage I think I've ever heard, but that was the rumor. That was what everybody believed. If you get too strong, if you get too much muscle, you can't shoot. I mean, anybody seen Desmond Bane out there playing basketball? Desmond Bane is ripped up, stocky, and yet he shoots the lights out in the NBA. So I don't think that being strong has anything to do with your shooting ability other than it helps you shoot from deeper. You know? Yeah, there you go, Calvin. Jordan was the prime example. Said he was getting beat up, needed to bulk up to beat the Pistons, and did it, and it didn't ruin or change his game, only for the better. Only for the better. But yeah, I remember that was the rumor back in the day. That was the rumor. You get too strong, it'll ruin your shot. So, but we'll see, man. I love what Wemby's doing. I really do. I think he's got a huge future. I think he's the rookie of the year, but I do like Chet, though. I do like Chet. Yeah, man. Now, I'm a person that's under the belief Chet shouldn't be in the running for rookie of the year. Okay? He's not a rookie. He's not a rookie. Well, Brian, he didn't play. Hey, man, he got to be around the team. He got to train in the facility. He got to rehab. He got to lift, getting an NBA weight program. He got to do all those things. You're not a rookie if you got to do all of those things. Okay? Stop it. Why they do that in the NBA is beyond me. I think it's the dumbest rule that I've heard of. Well, guy was hurt all year, so he didn't get to play. So the next year, we'll count him as a rookie. Huh? Whew. I don't know. That's just me. It's just weird. It's just weird. That's my personal opinion. We're going to start taking some questions now, man. We're going to start taking some questions. We got the open mic session right here. Again, man, as always, if you guys like what we're doing and you want to support the show, there's a plethora of ways that you can do it. Obviously, on YouTube, there's super chats. Again, you can control the conversation, get up your question. It immediately, number one, your question or statement gets read, gets put up on the screen, and you can kind of control where we go with this thing. So we appreciate that. Same thing on TikTok, GIFs. There's a tip jar. Anything you want to do, likes, comments, follows, all that good stuff, man. We appreciate everybody for being a part of it. So let's see here. My man, Paul, he's at work. We love you, Paul. Just checking in, man. We were talking about Cal. I love what he says here. I see it's Dirty Laundry Day because I got my Louisville shirt on. That's why I love my man, Paul. He's been a supporter from day one. And we couldn't be. He loves Kentucky. I love Louisville. I mean, but the man has been a supporter from day one because Paul, like myself, is an honest supporter. When his team sucks, he'll tell you. And you know me, Louisville has sucked for the last 3 years. What am I supposed to say? Oh, it's just an illusion. We're actually really good. Come on, people. What are we doing? We're terrible. My man, Seth. What's going on, Seth? We appreciate you here. Good question. What do you think about the report that Cal has been wanting to leave since February and wanted the OSU job? I don't know if he wanted the OSU job. I heard that Cal had been wanting to leave, and I think that whole thing was mutual. I think Cal wanted to leave. I think Kentucky was done with them, and getting beat in the first round to Oakland was just the cap. Kind of like we talked about yesterday. You know, Cal supposedly had this lifetime contract. Why do you got to have a press conference to say that man's coming back? You shouldn't need a press conference to say that a guy that's got a lifetime contract is coming back. And I believe this happened. I believe they had a conversation. I believe athletic director said, look, Cal, if there's a job out there that you want, take it. We've been good to you. You've been good to us. We don't want to fire you and have to pay you this big, buyout. It's just time to go. So if there's a job out there, wherever it is, you go take that. And then we're gone. So that's what I think happened. That's what I think happened. He didn't have an open contract every year, man. Stop that. There ain't no coach in America that's going to have an open contract to where they could just be fired or they could leave every year. And first of all, any coach can leave. But for them to possibly be fired, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. But it is what it is. It doesn't matter anymore. He's gone. He's gone. Well, supposedly he's gone. At some point, don't you got to get the deal done? I mean, they keep talking about, well, they're negotiating. How long does it take to negotiate? I mean, shouldn't you already have the negotiations done? I mean, Lord have mercy. You should have, all that should be finished, finalized. Okay, I got the job. It's over with. We're done. Thank you, Kentucky. Goodbye. Hello, Arkansas. Instead, here we are, almost 48 hours later, and still nothing. And still nothing. So, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. We'll see what happens with Cal, that whole situation. And obviously, I think he's going to Arkansas. Are they going to be better than Kentucky? I'll be interested to see how many guys that are supposed to go to Kentucky, how many of those guys say, we want out, we're going to Arkansas, or we're going somewhere else. You already saw Knox. You already saw him decommit. You saw Aaron Bradshaw. You saw him hit the transfer portal. I wonder how many guys were actually going to come back to Kentucky. So, Arkansas is second-guessing themselves? Nah, I don't think that's it, because the powers that be at Arkansas with all the money, they want Cal. So, they want him. I said the same thing, OHW. It would be extremely awkward if Cal's back at Kentucky. Like Stoops with football. Yeah. Yeah. But football at Kentucky is a lot different than basketball at Kentucky. And here's the thing. The fans at Kentucky aren't mad at Stoops for possibly he took the A&M job. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. He took the A&M job. And then A&M said, no, we don't want you. At the last minute, we'd rather have somebody else. We can get somebody else. People with money said, nope, we're not doing this Stoops thing. So no. And Kentucky, their history of football has been so bad, they're willing to keep a guy that took another job. They told him no after he accepted, and now he's coming back. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. We'll holler at you, Paul. So we'll see, man. We'll see. We're going to shut this one down for today, people. I appreciate everybody being in here. Thank you guys again. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, live on YouTube, live on TikTok. We appreciate everybody being here, man. Thank you guys. And I will holler at you tomorrow. Aloha.